Hello students, thank you for being here. Today I am here to give a presentation on Module 5 on design methodology. Let us see the syllabus. We are going to study design flow, design optimization, design for test, non-technical issues. And again we go for referring the same textbook, an embedded systems approach using Verilog by Peter J.A. It is given in chapter 10. In this session, let us go for studying the design flow. In this design flow, let us go for studying architectural exploration, functional design, functional verification. Let us see what are the topics to be covered in design methodology according to your syllabus. In this design flow, we go for studying architectural exploration, functional design, functional verification, synthesis, physical design. If we come for design optimization, we go for studying area optimization, timing optimization, power optimization, and in this design for test, we go for studying fault models and fault simulation, scan design and boundary scan, built-in self-test. That is, we go for calling BIST. And the last topic is non-technical issues. Let us come for knowing design methodology. We know that if you want to design complex digital systems, right, in real time, we need a team of people. That means what kind of people we need it. We go for usually calling them as design engineers. They should be very expert in software, hardware, jumping from one language to other language. These are the things in the team of people. Earlier in the module 1, we divided the design flow into functional design, synthesis, physical design. Each stage includes, that means that let it be a functional design, synthesis or physical design, include a verification steps to ensure that the design meets its requirements and satisfy constraints. In each step of the design flow, we go for verifying to ensure whether the design meets its requirements and satisfies its constraints. Let us see the flowchart in the next slide. Shows the elements of the design flow including hierarchical hardware, software, code design integrated into a single diagram. In this flowchart, we can go for classifying into architectural exploration, functional design, functional verification, synthesis, and physical design in broad. Let us go for seeing the flowchart here. Requirements and constraints. Right? If you go for this requirement and constraints here, before going to requirements and constraints, let us know something about the design methodology. The product of the design process is a set of data files used in manufacturing of the product. Right? Each manufacturing unit is then tested and delivered to the end customer or to the market after testing here. For many complex systems, the hardware is simply the platform upon which to deliver the software with most of the functionality of the system implemented in the software. In such systems, developing the software is a major proportion of the system developed or development effort. A key part of the design methodology is the set of electronic device automation, that is we go for calling that as the EDA tools, used to support it. In all designs, is it able to design a physical prototype, right, to ensure the correctness and the meet its constraints? It's highly impossible to go for a physical prototype designing here. Instead, we go for using idiot tools, which we can go for analyzing and refining that one with, we go for calling it as a virtual prototypes. That is, with the hardware, you don't go for designing any systems here. With the help of the EDA tools, usually we go for having a virtual prototype so that we can go for analyze and refine here. Right? This is a brief introduction about your design methodology. Let us come for the flowchart now. Let us see requirements and constraints. Then what do you mean by requirements here? Capture feature and function of a system or components. The requirement means capture feature and a function of a system or components. It just describes what should happen. Requirements. Requirement means It describes what we want to happen or what we want to do. Those are the things which will be considered in requirements. Constraints defines non-functional aspects such as restrictions on technology, resources, or techniques to be used. It defines non-functional aspects such as restrictions on technology. What are the technology should be used? What are the restrictions in any technology? How we have to go from one technology to other technology? Or what are the resources in a particular technology? Or what are the techniques to be used? Will be got in constraints here. It, it describes, that means that it describes real world limits. What are the technologies? How we go for jumping from one to other? Or boundaries, what we want to happen. Therefore, in broad, constraint describe real world limits or boundaries, what we want to happen. Therefore, what do you mean by design constraints then? Design constraints is meeting functional requirements. That's we go for meeting the functional requirements which satisfy constraints like it may be performance, size, power, cost, etc. Right? Let us come for the next block here. Architectural exploration and partitioning. Architectural exploration. What do you mean by architectural exploration? Architectural exploration is the design step to find the system level architecture and map different part of the specification to the allotted system component under design constraints. Or we can go for explaining this architecture in different manner. Architectural exploration is usually an iterative process when different candidate architectures and mappings are experimented to search for a satisfactory solution. That means that every candidate or the design engineers, right, will have different architectures and mappings, and just we go for searching that one depending upon the design constraint. Just if you want to go for designing with respect to cost, with respect to performance, with respect to size, anything like that, just we go for searching that particular design engineers and just should be satisfied, right? Let me go for telling what is co-design, right? Just in this part we go with the software, in this we go with the hardware, right? In this let me go for when you go for using software as well as the hardware, we go for calling that as a co-design. The meeting of system level objectives by exploiting the trade-off between the hardware and the software in a system through their concurrent design. Just concurrently we go for designing the software as well as the hardware, right? The meeting of system level objectives by exploiting the trade-off between these two, that is hardware and software, we go for calling that as a co-design. What we are going to do this in co-design? We go for trying pure software implementation. We go for trying the pure software implementation. We estimate the performance. Then we try with the hardware implementation. Then we try with the estimate performance. Right? These are the things which you go with the software and this hardware. Next is software unit design. Obviously, unit. When you have any complex digital systems, we go for dividing that complex digital systems into subsystems, and that subsystems we go for calling it as unit here. That unit will be designed by some candidates or some design engineers in software, which you go for calling it as software unit design. Similarly, in case of hardware, if you come with the hardware part here, just we go with this hardware part, and again the subsystem which we go for calling that as a unit will be designed with the help of the hardware. Again it will be checked. The hardware will be checked with the the software which you go for designing for a unit design will be verified, right, after this, and the hardware which you go for designing for the unit design will be verified whether the functionality of that particular unit will work properly or not, or the correctness of the unit which you have designed is right or wrong. Just we go for checking this one. We go for having a cross check between the software and the hardware here, right? Next, software hardware integration. System integration is defined in engineering as the process of bringing together the component subsystem into one system and ensuring that the subsystem function together as a system. As I told you here, the unit design, a bigger complex digital systems or any bigger systems will be divided into subsystems. That subsystems we go for having here. If you want to go for connecting each subsystems and to get the functionality of the complex digital system, right? If you want to get that the whole functionality of the system, there has to be connected here. The subsystems which you go for designing will be connected together, right? In terms of which you go with the term which you go for calling it as software integration, and here we go for calling it as an hardware integration. Whatever the design we have made with the unit design will be routed or it will be interconnected to get the functionality of the system which we want to design, and we have to go for checking the correctness of that one, which we go for calling it as again as a verification. That means that any systems will be, any bigger systems or the complex digital systems will be divided into subsystems which we go for calling it as a unit design. That unit design will be again verified in case of software or in case of hardware, right? Again we come with the integration, software integration and the hardware integration. Integration means just we go for whatever the design we have made with the unit design will be combined to get the functionality of the system which we have to design here, right? In this software integration verification, we go for integration. After integration, just we go for verifying that one, let it be in case of your software or let it be in case of your hardware. Just we go for having the trade-off between your software as well as the hardware here. This particular A is connected to here, this particular B should be connected to here. As just see here, this particular software unit, after designing software unit design, just we go for cross checking this one with the architectural explosion and the partitioning here, whether we are going according to the design, what the functionality which we have to get it for the whole system. Just with this the cross verification of having here also we go for having a cross verification. If this is okay, then you go for software integration, hardware integration. Similarly here, next we go with the integration synthesis here. Then what do you mean by synthesis? Synthesis is the process of transforming SDL design into a gate level netlist given all the specified constraints and optimization settings. That means that the SDL design, just we go for having the converting an RTL level into gate level, right? Where in which the gate which you go for the gate level, which it gives the same functionality in case of your RTL level also. Just we go for calling this as synthesis, right? Logic synthesis, right? What do you mean by logic synthesis? We go for calling as a logic synthesis, yeah? Is again is the process of translating and mapping RTL code written in HDL. We may go for writing that in Verilog or VSDL into technology specific gate level representation. Whatever the functionality we go for getting in RTL code will be converted into gate level to get the same functionality which we had in RTL. That we go for calling it as logic synthesis. Then what is the need of post synthesis verification? We go for calling this as post synthesis simulation, right? Post synthesis verification or post synthesis simulation or verification after synthesis. It is required. What it is required because after synthesis our design may not be same what we thought or what we had designed in code, right? This is because in synthesis VHDL or Verilog code is converted to netlist. This netlist is specific to FPGA device. An FPGA device you are using. Just if I go for taking an example, this unrooted netlist maps our logic devices available inside FPGA. For example, if in design we have included a NAND gate, right? It will be mapped to XOR gate, wherein this XOR gate is configured as NAND gate in FPGA. Are you getting this one now? That means that in the design, if you have designed including your NAND gate, it will be mapped to some other XOR gate, right? Where this XOR gate is configured as NAND gate. Basically, to validate this new generated unrouted netlist, post synthesis simulation or verification is most important here, right? Let me go for a physical implementation. Before going to physical implementations and physical verification, let us see what do you mean by physical design. A physical design is a process of transforming a circuit description into physical layout which describes the position of cells and routes for interconnection. Usually this physical design we go for calling that in physical design usually we go for using the word layout, right? Layout means just we go for the physical design. So in physical design, entire physical implementation takes place along with the several checks and performed in order to protect chip under different operating conditions, right? Just after this physical implementation that we go for laying the layout, after that we go for verifying that layouts, then finally we go for manufacturing. After manufacturing again also we have to go for testing the each system and it is should be released to the market. This is just we can explain this flowchart of the design methodology in brief. Let me go for next is architectural exploration, right? In this we know that any digital system is designed and manufactured to meet some requirements subject to various constraints, right? Unless the system is a major modification, unless the system is a minor modification to the previous design, there is a large space of possible designers that could meet the requirements. Whatever the design we go for making, even if I want to go for alter that particular design means it should be a minor modification there, right? Then of those possible design, some would violate the constraints and so they would not be feasible design engineers. Therefore, other would satisfy the constraints, so we would choose one among them. When you go for designing that one, many in design engineers or the candidate will be designing for the same system and we will be having many of the objectives here, right? Our choice is typically guided by more objectives such as cost, performance, power consumption or reliability to optimize. Suppose a customer will go for giving a and go for giving a design for exact performance. He is more fond of performance. Therefore, we'll be having a lot of candidates or the design engineers who go for designing the system to get in many of these constraints. And among them, one of the design engineer may go for having more optimized in case of performance. Then at the time we go for selecting that particular design engineer's design to meet our design design constraints, right? This is about your yes one. Next, what do you mean by architectural exploration or design space exploration? The term architectural exploration or design space exploration refers to the task of abstract modeling and analysis of candidate designs. Then, the term architectural exploration refers to the task of abstract modeling, right? What do you mean by abstract modeling here? Have I have we go for having an idea, not in physical implementation. Just we go for having an idea that which you go for calling it as an abstract modeling and analysis of candidate design. Just we go for analyzing what has to be done, right? What are the inputs, what are the outputs, the basic level, the abstract level, or the scratch level design. That is the idea of how we go for designing will be got in this architectural exploration. Therefore, the term architectural exploration or design space exploration refers to the task of abstract modeling and analysis of candidate designs. Design constraints has to be considered like when you go for designing, we have to go for considering again the cost, performance, power consumption or reliability, right, to optimize here, right? Next, let us see what is partitioning. When you go for partitioning, you go for having two types of partitioning. One is logical partitioning, another is physical partitioning. Partitioning is essentially the application of a divide and conquer problem solving strategy here. That means that when you want to go for designing anything, you go for partitioning that one. Partitioning in just you go for telling divide and conquer problem. If it is a complex system, all of a sudden we can't go for designing any complex system here. Just we go for divide and conquer problem. It will be divided into sub partitions, and that sub partitions will be designed, and just we go for checking the output of that one, right? And just in the same way we go for getting here, right? In this, when working at the abstract level of architecture exploration, the component need not be a physical part of the system. Instead, we think of logical partitioning. Simply identifying the parts of the system that will implement parts of the system that will implement the various processing steps here. This form of partitioning is also called functional decomposition. Depending on the functions, we will partition it the whole system. The physical partitioning can include processor core, accelerators, memories, and I/O controllers. Right. Also important is hardware software partitioning. Just we talked about the hardware part, software part. The other thing is we should be well aware of hardware as well as software partitioning. When you want to go for designing any of this complex system, you can't go for telling that I am an hardware engineer, I'm a software engineer. They should be having an idea about both software as well as hardware here. This is important with hardware software partitioning. A given logical component may be mapped to a it can be mapped to a specialized hardware component whose only task is to implement that logical component. Just in the opposite, another logical component may be mapped to a software task run on a processor core under control of a real-time operating systems here. Right? Without the partitioning of your logical partitioning and physical partitioning. Right? In this architectural exploration, just we came to know why we have to go for minor modification to previous designs. What are the choice to be guided by to get the functionality and the design constraints of cost, performance, power consumption, or reliability to optimize. Just came to know what are the architectural exploration, what are the ideas, right? Has to be taken out. Just we came out partitioning here, logical partitioning and physical partitioning. Let us see. To clarify the logical partitioning and physical partitioning mapping, he has taken an example, that is system partitioning. We are going to map logical structure onto physical structure as shown in figure here. This is the logical partitioning, this is the physical partitioning. We are going to map this logical partitioning into physical partitioning. Right? Consider a road transport, right? Monitoring system, road transport monitoring system that checks whether goods truck drive from one part of the country to another in too short an interval. Right? Stations on freeways each have a video camera on gantry over the head. This is the video input which you are having here. Gantry means a bridge-like overhead structure with a platform supporting equipment such as a camera. You can go for keeping the camera as well as the cranes, etc. The video image are analyzed to identify the license plate of the each truck passing underneath, and the time and license number are logged. You are having the composition part here. Video input, video filter, edge detector, shape detector, plate recognition, and logging. Right? The information is transmitted to the central facility for recording and comparison with the information from other station. This is the system control we are having here, right? And this is the diagram under maintenance network interface here. Logical partitioning. Let me come for this logical partitioning here. The functional decomposition of the monitoring station is shown in this figure. Decomposition. It includes logical components for input for video from a camera, filtering to remove the noise, edge detector, shape detector, license plate detector, logging, right? Network interface, system control, and diagnostic and maintenance task here, right? This logical structure can be mapped onto a physical structure shown in figure here, right? In this case, the physical components comprise an embedded system with accelerator for video processing up to the shape detection stage. This is another video input here, right? We have video filters, edge detect, shape detect, bus, bridge, processor core, memory, network, interface, video, memory. Now to save this one, right? License plate detection and recognition, logging, system control, and diagnostic, diagnostic and maintenance tasks are mapped onto the software task running on the processor core, right? This is an example of how we go for mapping a logical partitioning into physical one, right? Next, we go for functional design, right? Before subdivision of the system into subcomponents, we develop a behavioral model of the component expressing its functionality at the intermediate level of the abstraction between system level and register transfer level. Before subdivision of the system into subcomponents, we develop a behavioral model. Just we go for writing, in case of VLSI means just we go for writing a hardware description of the component expressing its functionality. Functionality means it has to give the correctness of the, we go for we have to go for getting the exact output of that particular component at the intermediate level of abstraction level between system level and register transfer level. Let me see what is test bench here. Test bench, we have studied a lot of things here. Is an environment to be used to verify the correctness. Just we go for giving repeated set of stimulus, right? And just we go for checking the correctness of the system. It is verified there by giving all possible set of stimulus. We go for checking the correctness of the system and it is verified. Just we go for calling that as test bench, right? Just if you want to develop the, go with the behavioral model of the component, then it's RTL level, register transfer level, in which we go for designing any things with the help of the RTL components. Let it be any register, let it be any diode, let it be any decoder. With the help of those components, just we go for design to get the functionality of that system by using the RTL component, which we go for calling it as RTL level. Test bench, I told you, by giving test stimulus, just we go for checking the correctness of the system and it will be verified here. Reusable components. Here, intellectual property, core generators are reusable components. Before going for that reusable component here, intellectual properties, even it can be called as libraries, right? We abbreviated as IP. Libraries involve reuse of pre-existing implementation usually, right? A logic level library may consist of layouts for gates and cells. In logic level library, it may consist of layouts or gates and cells. An RT level library may consist of layouts for RT components like registers, multiplexers, decoders, and functional units. I told you, in RTL level, just we go for getting the functionality of any of the system by using RTL components. Therefore, in the library, we go for having RT level library. It may be obviously it has to it should consist of registers, multiplexers, decoders, or any other functional units. A behavioral level library may consist of commonly used components such as compression components, bus interfaces, display controller, and even general purpose processors, right? The advent of the system level integration has caused a great change in this level of library. Just when we went further with the system level integration, as I told you, system level integration, just we go for dividing the whole system into subsystems. The subsystems will be designed after designing the whole subsystem. When you go for dividing the whole system into subsystems, the subsystems will be again connected to get the output of that particular system, which we go for calling it as system level integration, right? That after going for that one, the this invention, right, of a system level integration has caused a great change in this level of library. Rather than these components being ICs, they now must allow they now must also be available in form which we go for calling it as a course that will that which can implement on just one portion of an IC, right? Therefore, this change from behavioral level libraries of ICs to libraries of cores has promoted us to use the term intellectual property, right? Core generator. Another alternative for implementing a component may be use of core generator here. The core generator is a EDA tool, electronic device automation tool, generates a model of a component. The EDA tool generates a model of a components based on parameters that describes its function. Core generators are available for common kinds of functions such as memories, arithmetic units, bus interface, digital signal processing, and finite state machines here. Core generators are available for application specific integrated circuit based design as well as FPGAs also. Let me go for the last thing, lint tools. Many organizations adopt coding style rules to help ensure the quality of the model code, right? And some EDA vendors also provide style checking tools. If you want to check the styles of the code what you have written, sometimes code as lint that verify whether code meets a set of rules, right? The lint tools checks the or verifies the whether the code meets some set of rules here, right? This about your functional design. Let me go for the functional verification. The importance of verification of digital designs focusing on we obviously focus on simulation based verification of functionality. Then what do you mean by simulation based here? Just we go for giving all possible input vectors to that particular system. Just we go for checking the output of that particular system whether it is in that way. Just we go for verifying that one, right? Just we go for calling that as simulation based verification of functionality. How we can go for verifying? Let me have a verification plan with the functional verification. What parts to verify? Just I have broadly classified according to the verification plan. What functionality to verify? How to verify? We know that. Let me come for the first one. What parts to verify? We know that at the time of functional design, we go for hierarchical decomposition of the system. That means that any complex system will be again divided into subsystems. Therefore, each subsystem should be verified to get the correct functionality of the system. What parts to verify now? A bigger system will be divided into subsystem. That particular subsystem has to be verified. This is the one thing now. Then what functionality to verify here? We came to know, right? What functionality means? This when you have divided, right? We should be more clear that what output you are going to get in each component. Just here in the first case, just we are checking the correctness of the each subsystem. Then what functionality to verify here? If you want to design any of the subsystem, you need the components for that one. In this case, we have to go for checking the functionality of each component here. At the lower level of the design hierarchy, the functionality of each component is relatively simple, right? So the component can be verified easily and very easily. We can go for verifying that easily. At higher level of design hierarchy, the functionality of subsystems and even the complete systems get more complex here. In case of what parts to verify here, according to the verification plan, we went for verifying the subsystems. Here, for designing the subsystems, we go for using the components here. Each component's functionality will be checked that this is the way in which we go for having the verification plan. It is much harder to verify that a subsystem or the system meets functional requirements under all circumstances. Instead, we might focus on the interaction among components. Use the term coverage. Coverage means which refers to the proportional of functionality that is verified. Historically, code coverage has been used as figure of merit. It refers to the proportion of lines of code that have been executed at least once during simulation of the design. Right? Let me go for checking code coverage means just it refers to the proportion of lines of code that have been executed at least once. When we go for writing the code, just we go for checking whether that particular line is been executed at least once during the simulation of the design. Simulation of the design means at the time of simulation. The benefits of using code coverage is not easy to measure. It is not easy to measure. It does not give reliable indication that the required functionality has been implemented correctly. It doesn't give exact information about how the functionality has been implemented. Right? Instead of using code coverage, use functional coverage, even though it is harder to quantify. Right? Next, how to verify. Right here we went for subsystem that is checking verifying the subsystem. Here whatever the components which we are used to design the subsystem, we went for verifying that functionality of that components. Now there are number of techniques that we can apply. Right? How to verify here? Direct testing using simulation. Direct testing involves identifying particular test cases to apply to the DUV, right, and checking the output for each test case, right. In this, just we go for using DUV, that is we go for applying the all possible vectors directly, and just we go for checking the output of that particular system. This approach is very effective for simpler components where we have small number of test cases. Suppose if it is an half adder, I go for giving a possible vectors as 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0 and 1, 1. The possible test cases are only 4 cases here. If it is such cases, it is easy for direct testing using simulation. The other type is constrained random testing, right? This involves a test case generator randomly generated input data. The generator itself generates the random input data subject to constraints on the ranges of values allowed for the inputs. In case of our hardware description language, when we went for programming your Verilog, we have seen the bit pattern generator wherein which it generates the inputs, all possible input vectors. It will generate itself to check the functionality of that particular system here. That which you go for calling that as a bit pattern generator. Right? This is about your functional verification. Let me go for having the comparison test bench. Right? In this comparison test bench, we go for test case generator. As I told you, with the help of the bit pattern generator, we go for generating the input vectors which has to be given. Design under verification in behavioral model. Design under verification in RTL model. This is the checker we go for using here. Use test case generator to provide test cases to two instances of the design under verification. One is behavioral model, another is the RTL model. One an instance of the behavioral model and other is the instance of the RTL model. The checker then compares the outputs of the two instances. This checker compares the instances of the compare the outputs of the two instances, makes any necessary adjustments for timing differences. This checker makes any differences. If you're having any differences in the timing differences, it makes adjustments here. Right? Let this about your comparison test bench. If we go for the hardware software co-verification. Before going to hardware and software co-verification, let me design what do you mean by code design. Code design is a set of emerging techniques which allows for simultaneous design of hardware and software in many cases where the application is very demanding in terms of various performance. It may be time, power, consumption, right? Therefore, co-design is a set of emerging techniques which allows for simultaneous design. We go for concurrent design with the parallelly with hardware as well as software, right? And this is more demand in many of the applications here, right? In an embedded system, systems functionality may be implemented in software that interacts with hardware. Usually, when you want to go for designing any systems functionality may be implemented in software that interacts with hardware for verifying functionality of the system, right? Whatever the things which are designed with the help of the software, it will be made interact with the hardware to verify the functionality of the system. We have hardware models of the processors and the instruction and data memories. Software is verified by simulating its execution on the hardware model. We would load the instruction into instruction memory and start the memory. The operation of the processor, fetching, executing instructions, reading and writing, IO controller and accelerator register would be simulated. Right? This way, just we go for time here. Next, let me go for doing hardware software verification continued. There are approaches where we can make hardware software co-verification factor much faster. There are two types of approach here. First approach, recognize that software and hardware developed are usually done by different people, allowing the team to start software verification as early in the design process as possible reduces the overall time to complete the system here. That means that if you want to go with the software and hardware development, right, with the different people means different design engineers. I told you what are the things you should have with the design engineers, allows the team to start software verification as early in the design process as possible reduces the overall time to complete the system. The key to this is to divide the software into two layers. One is a lower level layer and another and application layer. A lower layer that depends on the hardware and an application layer that is insulated from the hardware by the lower level. A lower level that depends on the hardware, lower level layer. This lower layer depends on the hardware. An application layer that is insulated from the hardware by the lower layer. Right? The lower layer, sometimes called the hardware abstraction layer, we go for abbreviating that as HAL, or board support package BSP. Then for the lower layer, sometimes called HAL or BSP, for processors that are components on a printed circuit board, contains driver code and interrupt service route lines for IO controllers, memory management code, and so on. It provides an abstract interface that can be called by the application layer. It provides an abstract interface, right, that can be called by the application layer. Within this division of embedded software, development and verification of application layer code can proceed without waiting for the hardware design. Therefore, just we can directly go with this software by using this first approach. The other approach, another approach, a software verification tool can emulate the operations provided by the hardware abstraction layer. The software developers can write the software in a programming language, making calls to the emulated abstraction layers and run the software on their host computer. Right? In this way, the software can run at close to real time. For more detailed verification of embedded systems, we can use an instruction set simulator, abbreviated as ISS. An ISS uses compelled into instructions of the target embedded processes. The ISS uses code compelled into the instruction of the target embedded processes. This is about your hardware software flow verification. Just I told you in this design flow, just I have covered three things here. In the next session, right, in session 2, I will talk about the design flow, synthesis and physical design, right. The next we go for design optimization. In this design optimization, let us go for area optimization, timing optimization and power optimization. Finally, I go for telling you thank you for attending the classes. Thank you.